So, my 2004 Ford Focus SVT. I've wanted one of these for around 5 years, and even when I bought my yellow base model Focus, I still wanted one of these. I found this one, it had skipped timing, so a friend and I hopped in the Maverick, we put the tow dolly on, and we brought it back home. And this is how we removed it.
3, 2, 1.
So once we got it off the dolly, we pushed it back in this spot of my gravel carport, and it sat there while I took the cylinder head that the previous owner had pulled out, along with some new valves, guides, and stem seals, and handed it off to a machine shop. Got it back in about 9 days for a good price. Really happy with that shop, and everything looked good and clean and freshly machined, ready to go. So the valve cover, though, was pretty dirty still, so I needed to get that powder coated. Anyways, I took a brass brush and some degreaser and parts cleaner and got to work on the piston tops and the block deck. Thankfully the pistons weren't cracked or anything. The honing looked pretty nice, and this is where I stopped. Figured it was fine. I put the head gasket on and found that the cam cap bolts were female Torx, so I had to get a socket. The tensioner mounts to the cylinder head, which is weird to me, but oh well. And I did the lower control arms on the front while I was busy. You can see my garage was a mess. So I took the headers. I didn't like that they were pretty oxidized, so I had them blasted while I did the head bolting and the timing along with my friend. Got the headers back. They looked good. Very happy. Mounted them back on. I had already finished the timing by this point. And then the intake manifold. It's a two-piece. So I had to drop in the back chamber section, bolt up the flange, and then rock the chamber over top. And that's what I got. Got the valve cover back. Nice powder-coated blue. Happy with that. And got the plastic covers, all that timing stuff back on and over. Ignition coil, thermostat, and ready for the first crank attempt. So I was ready to go for my first test drive. Took it around the neighborhood and it broke down. The hose blew off the thermostat housing because the clamp did not have enough pressure to hold it on. And that barb was very slick and narrow compared to the hose. The ignition coil had also unplugged because there was a little clip there that I forgot to put on. And that caused a couple other codes like that one. And the camshaft position sensor code, I had just forgotten to plug that in the first crank. Cleared that code, it went away, no problems. Now this code, the manufacturer control code, this actually was the VCT solenoid. And it had come off just like the ignition coil because of a wire clip. So got all those wire clips on, never had this issue again. Got the engine ready, figured out everything except for one thing. There was this third cable. Looks like a throttle cable. Couldn't figure out where it went to. Reached out to a buddy and he told me that it is the IMRC cable. It actually goes to the intake manifold, and you can see what it does here. So what this cable does is once the engine reaches a high enough RPM, it engages, opening up the intake manifold, giving it long runners, while going back to short runners for low RPM power. And so everything was done. Here's the interior. And here's the outside, and more pictures of the outside. And here is a revving video. So is this a super hard, crazy repair? No, not really. And that's the point that I want to make. A lot of people stay away from this in cars that need this kind of work because they don't think they can fix it, and people say they're just going to break it more. Well, a lot of those people don't know what they're talking about, and the reality is if you have the time, the tools, the patience, and a little bit of cash relative to what you would pay at a shop, you can do this. Timing belts are not the end of the world, and head work can be done by many machine shops. Cars are complex machines, sure, but at the end of the day, they're made to be built and serviced by humans. And though different manufacturers have varying degrees of serviceability, this is something that I think if you really want to, you can learn and you can do. Am I recommending you get a car that needs a ton of work as a daily? Hell no. Get a car that's in great mechanical condition and reliable enough as your daily utility driver. And if you want to get into project cars and you have the funds to do so, just know it's not as unobtainable as you may think. So the next time you see a car that needs a bit of repair but could be had for significantly cheaper, just know the only way to get better at fixing them is to gain experience. And the only way to gain experience is to start working.